Okay, so Melody, let's first. I think maybe it's important to sort of describe what you're doing at Fox because it's pretty amazing, and then we'll start to get deeper into Web3. So what are you doing over there at Fox?
Sure. I mean, Fox founded really an entire business unit focused on how we think about Web3, increasingly think about AI, but generally these kind of disruptors in the ecosystem that we're viewing, and also just kind of where we're seeing around the corner that the world is going, particularly for a media company and how people are going to be consuming media in the future. So I think we saw this as a real opportunity, a place that we can be ourselves the disruptors rather than waiting for big tech to disrupt us and wait for other parties to dictate the terms by which we're going to participate in this new economy, which I think if you look at, as you described, legacy media and how they shifted from Web 1 to Web 2, I think, big tech really determined the mechanics and all the underlying economics of that. And like we're looking to be a part of defining what the economics are of Web3. We see that's a changing consumer behavior that we want to be a part of, we want to help shape. So we started a whole business unit really to think about this. I think it was making a very strong statement that this was not, an innovation team that was kind of just exploring something on the side. It really was a real focus area for the company that we founded almost a year and a half ago now. And since then, we've launched about 9 production projects, thinking a variety of experiments that we're kind of thinking about with our intellectual property. How can we exploit that with NFTs? How should we think about maybe token gated streaming? How should we think about what the future of news production looks like? How do we think about the rise of deep fakes? So all these trends that we think some of this underlying blockchain technology can be a part of the solution. So the labs part of our name, I think, is pretty descriptive because we are exploring a bunch of hypotheses, but at the same time, these are all production projects, so it's not the little innovation lab where things aren't being public. These things are all live, and we're actually
Mhm.
taking a risk and putting them in front of our audiences.
What an interesting, just the way you look at things. It's great, right? It's actually refreshing because like, I think sometimes you have a tendency to think these big organizations are a bunch of old people who are like, Bitcoin's a scam, and where you understand the details very well. It's funny because you almost describe it like a test net, almost like the relationship between Polkadot and Kusama, right? So I guess that's my question. Like, how experimental are you? Like, how far are you going?
I love that analogy, a little test net for the future of media production.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think we've taken a bunch of risks so far. I mean, we took our biggest show on Fox Entertainment, which is The Masked Singer, and that was our first project. So this is the number one unscripted show on television. And so we weren't playing around, it wasn't starting with a little tiny piece of content here and there. It was really thinking about this is a show that has millions of weekly viewers. If you watch The Masked Singer now every Wednesday night, there are calls to action to participate in our NFT driven experience. So I think that was our first, like we're putting a marker out there. The first project we're going to do is highly public. It's actually IP we really care about and that has a really trusted and long term following. It's in season 9 of the show. Similarly, we launched around Crepopolis. Fox actually just announced that Crepopolis has been renewed already for season 3, even though the first episode hasn't aired yet. We're kind of modeling this as like, this is Fox's next Simpsons. So it's our absolute core animated series, crown jewel property. And if you look at any of the marketing around it, we described it as like the first series curated on the blockchain. So, and that's the core marketing. It's not side marketing over here. It's at the core of the show is being described in this way. So I think that's showing us like, Fox is not playing around. It's not an experiment. We're actually want to work with the properties that matter the most to really get ourselves out there. And in the course of that, we've obviously learned a lot. We've learned what performs, what doesn't. I mean, we've gone through 4 blockchains as our main partners. We've gone through 5 payment providers, a lot of wallet infrastructure. There's obviously a lot of rough edges to sort out as we're really thinking about how do we onboard highly mainstream audiences into this technology. The vast majority of people who participate in our ecosystem are first-time crypto users. So we kind of strike the right balance where we want to make this accessible to people, but we also don't want to abstract away what makes crypto great, right? In terms of self-custody, in terms of ownership. And so we want to adhere to many of those core crypto principles and keep those real while we still can speak to the mainstream mass singer audience who is not a crypto native.
Do you like know everything? Like, like I'm just like your answers are so good, and it's like you speak like the corporate language, the media language, the Web3 language. I don't know. I'm blown away. I'm excited to learn about what Fox is doing.